Good morning and welcome to Wednesday of Lakewood's Next Daily Devotions. My name is Scott and I'll be with you all week. Today, just one verse. We're just going to look at one verse from Matthew chapter 10, verse 16. Yesterday, I spoke with you just a little bit about being sent out, that Jesus was sending us out and that we needed to own that. We need to personalize that. We need to know what that looks like in our everyday lives. Today, he says something very unique about that. In Matthew chapter 10, verse 16, he says this, "Behold, I'm sending you out as sheep in the midst of wolves, so be wise as serpents and as innocent as doves." I would rank this statement by Jesus probably in maybe one of the top five unique and hard sayings of Jesus. He says, "I'm sending you out as sheep in the midst of wolves." We get that. And then he says, "So be as wise as serpents, as innocent as doves." What do we do with that? How do we process that? What is Jesus really getting to? We understand the innocent part, but he says, "I want you to be as wise as serpents, but as innocent as doves." What's he mean by being wise as serpents? I think Jesus is getting to this idea of realizing that we're going out into the world, as he says, as sheep among wolves. He's saying you need to learn to be shrewd. You need to learn to be strategic. You need to pay attention. You need to wise up. That's something that I think that Jesus gave us many examples of. If we reference just some things, that the way that Jesus functioned when he was on the earth. I remember some encounters with Jesus. One is when they were trying to trick him, and they came and they asked him if his followers should pay taxes to Caesar. And you remember Jesus gave this response where he told Peter or he talked about just a coin, whose picture was on the coin, and they said Caesar's. And he said, "Well, then give to Caesar what is Caesar's and give to God what is God's." You know, that's a wise response. Jesus was aware of the point of their question, and he wasn't going to allow himself to get baited or trapped. We saw a similar thing happen when they drugged the woman who was caught in adultery out in front of him and said the law said we should stone such woman. And so Jesus said, "Well, then whoever is without sin cast the first stone." And slowly they dropped their stones and walked away, and he spoke forgiveness and grace to the woman. But Jesus was not going to get baited. He was wise. He was sharp. He knew what was going on. He understood the agendas around him. And so he wasn't going to get sucked into things. He knew how to respond. And I think Jesus is saying to us that we need to learn to be wise. We need to understand what's going on in the world around us and the kinds of things that people are trying to accomplish and what they're trying to do and how they're trying to bait us as believers to say things that we shouldn't say, to get ourselves into trouble. You know, we live in a day and age where there's so many culture wars around us going on. And every day it seems like a new one. And every day the world is trying, certain groups of people are trying to get Christians to take the bait and to get involved in conversations that do no good whatsoever. And they only isolate us and they only hurt us and our witness if we're not wise. So I think Jesus is speaking to us to say, listen, you need to learn to be wise in every situation. You need to always be innocent. You need to always have integrity. You need to always have love and kindness. And we should never speak from hate, and we should never scream at people. And as I speak about these culture wars that you and I experience and are part of, I think this speaks so much to why we have to respond a certain way in the midst of those cultural wars. As wise as serpents, but as innocent as doves. I would tell you today that Jesus is the only one that can teach us how to do that. Following his example of how to be wise, but also how to be innocent. How to be wise, but also loving. So I encourage you, look to Jesus. Don't look to the world. Don't look to even the church today sometimes. Don't look to Jesus to know how to accomplish those things as you live. Be blessed today.